Hi, let's look at few of the options available in the Power Query editor, which we launched by clicking on Launch Editor in the Power Query add-in, which shows up as a tab in the ribbon in Excel 2010 and 2013 and 2016 is available as a free add-in. So we've looked through all these different tabs and we've quickly seen all the options and buttons in here. So quickly to tell you about the data, I got 12 Excel files containing each month's financial data, revenue, GP, and expenses in a folder, and I have appended these 12 files into one single table. Uh, yeah, so data from 12 Excel file is now loaded into a single table. Isn't that awesome? Now let's look at all the other options we have in the Power Query editor. So obviously once you have completed all your steps, which makes it a sequential query recorder, you can close and load. It closes the editor and it loads the data into a worksheet if that is what you've selected in your settings, or into a data model if that is what you have selected in your settings. It can load in worksheet as well as data model both at the same time, or you can load it as just a connection or connection and into your data model, right? You can discard all the changes that you did if you want to start from beginning, discard and close. So there's this help section like every uh, other product would have. So this is pretty cool. You know, you can send a smile if you like this. I do send a lot of smiles to Microsoft, and someone in the Power Query team is usually just one person who replies to me, you know, when I send him a feedback like, hey, this is really cool, awesome, has been helping me a lot. Or if I find, you know, oh, this is not helping me, or there's some issue with basically uh, any bug or something like that, I can send a frown. So they have a feedback website where you can go type in your comments and add them, request them to add features or make it better. So this frown usually works if there's a issue with the Power Query itself, which usually is not there. So these are the options in the File tab of Power Query Editor. Now let's look at the options we have in Power Query. So what is launch? Here we go. So over here, if you have this load to worksheet checked, all the data that you are collecting, for example, data from 10 files in this folder, in this table, will automatically get loaded to a worksheet. You know, I like that because I'm an Excel guy. So if, you know, it's not a lot of data, I load it to a worksheet, throw a pivot on it. But if it is way more than a million row, Excel cannot hold it. I'll uncheck it and I'll load it into a data model and then do a power pivot on it. So when you have a lot of data, I would recommend doing a power pivot because power pivot does all the calculations very quickly. Pivot table is just slow when you have a million rows. Okay, fast data loads works when you have data from when you're pulling data from Excel file. As we've seen, Power Query can pull data from websites, from databases, from Excel, CSV file, text file, SharePoint, and so many other locations, right? Which is really cool. So what I read on some blog was, hey, if you check this option, fast data loads, your data loads faster in this preview. So this is just a preview. This doesn't really load data into your worksheet. So you have to check load to worksheet, or when you go to close and load, you have to tell it to load to a data model, right? So cache, it can have a cache for up to 4 GB, I think, and you can restore defaults, right? So here we go. I will keep this option checked until I show you how to load data into a data model and use a Power Pivot, another awesome feature. I'll do fast data load because I'm pulling data from Excel file. If I was pulling data from SQL Server, then I think I read that if your SQL Server has a query folding capability, then you know it'll send all the code to SQL Server and all the processing will happen so quickly on the SQL Server and you'll get the data. All right, we are in query editor, so these are the options for query editor. Display query settings pane, which is this guy. Display formula bar, which is Like in Excel, you have the formula bar, display preview using a monospace font, which is available as an option in View 2. So it just changes the font. Show white space, new line character. I like it when I check it. It gives a better uh, view of the data. Parameters, one of the things that is added in recent update from Power Query. Hey, Power Query guys, they update Power Query every month. So you can get these updates. I'll show you later how to get them pretty much every month towards, like, 20th or 25th of the month. And then a few days later, they release uh, a document, they post a document on their website which shows what all changes they made in those updates. So pretty cool. Gets updated every month. All right, security. So user approval for new native database queries, user approval for web previews. So you can keep these checked or unchecked depending on the security settings you prefer. I've seen some people have been saying that you can always ignore privacy level settings and your Power Query will pull data and process data, shape it way faster. But I usually use Power Query at work, so I choose an organizational setting level for my Power Query, which will usually pop up if you have not selected it and ask you to choose a public option, to choose a organizational option, or choose a personal option. I think in that case it may be just available for you. Learn more about privacy levels here. There you go. Updates, display update notification for Power Query when opening Excel. I'll show you where it is located. It's cool. It's not like bugging you or anything. Usage data, I keep it checked. Hey, why don't help them make the product better? Account, if you have an Office 365 account, Premium or Plus, whatever they call it, or the regular free one, you can sign in using that. Diagnostic, sometime when I send them feedback, they ask me to check this and recreate it. So just a good habit, I check it before I start working, if I could. So in case my Power Query crashes or there's a bug or something, they get all the stuff behind it. Data load, hey, we already saw there's a data load here, there's a data load here. So this is for you to see this data in preview. So if you're dealing with a lot of data, then uh, getting that loaded in the preview in the background that we are seeing over here is really painful. It'll take so much time, but it's just like, hey, last week I was working in these files and I've already got some data in previews, so based on that I can apply all these steps. Then you can uncheck it. In that way, you know you could do things pretty quicker, like adding a new column or however else you want to shape the data. But I don't have a lot of data right now. I'll keep it checked. Allow it to detect column types, headers, and all that stuff. So it'll assign like text type to the columns which it thinks contain text, and data to the columns which it thinks contains data. Most likely, probably depend on the first item in your cell. Regional setting, English, privacy. There we go. So these are the privacy options, and you can ignore it or you can leave it there as it says ignore to improve performance. Wow. Okay, cool. So this was a quick look at Power Query Editor. We can close it now. And before I close it, let me quickly show you them. So in case you want this guy above or below, and this is something really cool. For example, if I send a smile to Microsoft, I don't know if this will launch my uh, Gmail, but at work I have Outlook. So when I send a smile and it launches the email, it takes a screenshot, it includes a formula. Pretty cool. Doesn't take all your data with you, it just takes all the code. And yeah, it didn't launch, it just launched a window because I don't have this integrated with a Outlook or Gmail or something. Yeah, so it takes a screenshot of whatever is seen here, and pretty much like this advanced editor will take the full all of the code and also a little bit information like how much GB of data you used and blah blah blah. So here it is, quick look at the different options in Power Query. And now we have covered everything in the overview, and we are going to look at awesome ways to work with data. So this is very helpful because all the things that I used to do in Excel, I can just automate them without knowing or learning how to code. And it is awesome. Thanks for watching. Bye.